Hello from China. I'm here today to talk to you about mainland China and the Hong Kong insurance markets. But first, of the Forbes 20 largest insurers in the world, 4 are from mainland China and 1 is from Hong Kong. So these are very important regions. So let's start with China. China is the second largest insurance market in the world, with premiums at about $540 billion. But it had year-over-year growth of 43%, so tremendous growth in the premiums. What's also interesting is the investment portfolios here. Alternative investments have really started to increase. Back in 2012, it was the alternative investments were around 9%, and now they're coming up close to 40%. So we see a real surge in alternative investment portfolio here in mainland China. So the mix of business, it's about 60% life insurance, 40% non-life insurance. On the life insurance side, what we've seen is a growth rate in premiums of around over 20%, but most of that has to do with growth in income, the salaries of individuals. On the non-life side, the growth rate in premiums have been over in excess of 90%, and most of that market is motor insurance, which is compulsory, and there's been an increase in the online auto business in mainland China. But here's where things are really starting to change in China. So up to now, the Chinese market has been largely dominated by domestic insurers. About 93% in the life insurance space is domestic and 98% on the non-life side. But recently, April 2018, the regulator came out and said that they're going to start to make changes in the ownership thresholds by foreign insurers, so that by 2018 it's changing from 50 to 51% for ownership thresholds, and but with the target of being full ownership by foreign insurers by 2022 as being allowed. Finally, on the population front, what's interesting is that this has one of the highest rates of aging of any country in the world. We see some of that has to do with the one child per family rule that came out years ago, but the retiree to worker population is increasing significantly, which is putting pressure on the economy. The insurance market is still largely sold to urban families in the urban areas, as well as middle-class families. So with the low penetration rate, I think that creates quite an opportunity in this market for perhaps microinsurance or just an increased penetration rate. Now, if we switch to Hong Kong, Hong Kong is about the 17th insurance market in terms of size. So the premiums are much less at $63 billion. The growth rate's been a little bit under 10% year-on-year in terms of premiums. But this market is very skewed to life insurance. About 90% of the business here is life insurance, and of that, 94% is individual life. So it's a very specific and targeted market. So in Hong Kong, what we see is a lot of M&A activity. From 16 to 2017, the M&A activity increased threefold, but most of the M&A activity was buyers that were either from China or Hong Kong. Finally, a report came out around talent in Hong Kong and really highlighted some of the talent gaps in Hong Kong as this market is growing, because the penetration here for insurance is very high at 16%. And so there is really a tremendous amount of opportunity in the Hong Kong market. So all in all, a lot of activity in this area, and that's the state of play in mainland China and Hong Kong.